How you doing, folks? I hope you're smiling and I hope you're happy. And in YouTube fashion, you've got to have the obligatory making coffee. I'm making a cup of coffee because, the reason I'm making a cup of coffee is quite simple, and this is how we make it. For those of you that may not know, because according to millions of YouTube people, nobody knows how to make coffee. Simple. I use a cafetiere. Put the coffee in the cafetiere. And, 2 seconds. Got some cooking now. That goes on and we make the coffee. It really is that simple. The reason I'm doing that is because, I need to do a bit of baking today on the grounds of when I treat myself to fresh coffee or a cup of tea in the afternoon, I have a little bit and I've got one little piece left, of which is my oat cake. And I'm going to be making oat cake because I knew I was getting low on this. I needed to make some more. But I also make my own bread. Now, due to having heart issues, all this and the other, we have to be slightly more mindful of what goes in here. I'm not going to be super strict about my diet. I am very mindful of my diet. I am getting rid of some timber, not just out in the woods, but here as well. And I kind of enjoy baking anyway. I mean, it's the self-sufficiency thing. Trying to be able to, fend for myself. But this cake is healthy. I'll show you how. I'm making me coffee. I'll let it fester for a minute because you've got to let it infuse, apparently. But sourdough. There we go. We start off with sourdough starter. This is my third attempt at making sourdough bread. The first starter went well. I got the rest of it wrong. The second one, I nearly got it right, but I didn't quite get it right. Lost the sourdough, so I had to get another sourdough starter going. No, I'm not going to show you and explain to you how I do it. 50% decent flour, like a wholemeal flour is what I use. 50% water, weight. Mix it up, let it fester for a couple of days. Then take half out, and the half you've taken out, replace equal measures, flour, water. Blah, 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 blah. The bacteria thing, yes, it all gets in there, starts doing it, and it starts fermenting. It's a fermentation process. And then, because obviously, that's a waste of money, that is, all that flour, and you're throwing it away and all that. I don't throw it away. I keep collecting it, and I've got a big part of it here, of which I'm going to show you a little something else that I use with that. Potentially 2 things. But this is kind of a baking day. I mean, it's a little bit miserable out there. Yes, the body's aching a bit. So I have to bake, because I have to eat. Do I look like I'm starving? But what we do is, first things first, make the coffee. Look, I bet this is as good as every other channel that says this is how we make coffee. And so I've made a sourdough loaf, and it's ready to go in the oven. I'll show you once I've done this. I'm going to make my oat cake, which I have almost religiously. I have a slice every day in the afternoon with my cup of tea. Quintessentially an English thing, I think. Put that in the comments. Is it an English thing, or is it in other nations? You, the viewers, can tell me that. And once we've got the coffee, take the bottom off, take the filter out, pop it into the recycling, which will not recycle, into the what will be in the compost. Give that a rinse off so it's ready to go again. And there we have it. So you now know, if you didn't already know, how to make coffee. Good God. And yeah, a lot of these channels, no disrespect to them, because, you know, I mean, I watch them and I do find some of them extremely interesting. But yes, this having to make coffee thing, time fillers, as I call it. But no, what we're going to do is, coffee's made. Thank you very much. So then once we had the sourdough, 1,000,001 channels. Not going to bore you with that stuff. The ones I tried in the past, where I was trying to make that perfect sourdough loaf. Yeah, first time round, it just didn't rise at all, and I don't know what went wrong, but it went wrong. Second time round, I made a big mistake, because the first part of the cooking, it has to sweat. You need the roof on it, which I didn't, so it didn't rise that well. Trying to follow so many different variations of making bread. I'm now trying this one, which I found was extremely simple. Yes, you make the sourdough, but you know, the bread, and, you know, get your measures right. That's all out there for your information. And then the final proofing, where people use things like bannetons and rice flour and little, I don't know, napkin things, and all these things that cost money. This one was very simple. I've got a loaf tin anyway, a bit of brown paper, and for the final proving, you just chuck it in there and let it fester for best part of a day. Give it about 3 hours, it'll have been for 24 hours. And it's festering well, as I see it. Look. What we need to do, because I don't have a roof, bit of foil, so that it can steam. Then, I'm going to get a little bit more domey. And that goes into the oven for 20 minutes or so. And because I'm now timing that, but we're getting down to this. Extremely healthy. Just pretty healthy. What we get, and this is how I do it, again, no mass measures. I'm going to bake it in this tin. This is porridge oats that I've put through the blender to make the equivalent of a flour. And this is how I do measures. I just sit there and I put in here for this tin about just over 1/3 of the tin in porridge oats. Maybe just a little bit more. So as you say, I'm doing it all but literally by eye. How soddy I put the light in. Yeah. Exact measurements. We love it. And once we've got that done, we then put in the additives, put in the extras. I always do a little bit of, if I can find it, I put in a couple of teaspoons of baking powder, and then I add the dried ground cinnamon, a bit of ginger, and if I have got it in here somewhere, I should have it, some allspice, right? Again, reasonably liberal, and I'm just adding what it looks like. I mean, at the moment, as you can see, not a lot. A little bit of ginger. There we go. Chuck it all in there. Right, we've got that lot in there. And then I'm going to loosely mix this in. This is the drier goods. Yeah. Give that a bit of a gentle mix, just to try and basically get all of the flavourings hooked around it. I'm just going to quickly transfer it to the bowl. Done that bit. Right. So there we have porridge oat flour, ground cinnamon, a bit of ginger, some allspice. There's me making a mess. And then what we've got to do is add the fruit element. And you can put in what you bloody like. I mean, there's no rules to this. That's what I think I like about it. The one thing I like, which they're very good for you, and I buy in quite bulk because I use them a lot, cranberries. Now these are sweetened cranberries. 1, 2, 3 handfuls. There we go. That's my measuring. Nothing has to be to the book. And then we're going to be, because it's going to be quite a large one, so I'm putting in, this was given to me as a bag of mixed fruit, raisins, sultanas raisins, orange peel, things like that, a bit zesty. Just chucking a load in there. And then we add some, for me, this is the cheat. Because these are glacé cherries. Yeah, okay, they're cherries. And I don't know what the sugar process is for these to be the way they are. So this is the unhealthy part. But because they've got this moisture in them, I find it just gives the texture of my oat cake a little bit of extra flavour and sweetness, that little bit of extra moisture. And I enjoy it. And all I do is it's about a handful. I'm going to cheat here, and I've wiped my hands. It's loosely cutting them in half. Here we go. Sharp knife in my hand. Look how dangerous this is. Oh, health and safety. Right, put a few of them in, a few more. I mean, this is, it can't be rocket science, folks, because guess what? There we go, that'll do. So there's the extra sweetness going in. And what I'm going to be doing with that is add a little bit more sweetness, which is a very funny shaped bottle now, because this had solidified, as we all know honey does, and there's not a lot in there. So I'm just going to put the rest of that in there. So I'm not putting the sugar element, which would probably be horrible sugar, the dirty food, the glacé cherries. So we're just putting that in there, putting some honey in there. There's a nice sweet treat. And I'll warm that up and use that for a cup of tea later. So I won't waste any of it. And now we're going to put in 3 eggs. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes I do 3. Depends how many I've got. If I've not been eating them that fast, it'll be 3 eggs. If I've been eating them pretty fast, it'll only be 2 eggs. They go into the compost pile. And these eggs, ironically, were fresh from the farm this morning. Far better eggs than any shop bought eggs. Right, so we've now got that in there. Got my spoon. Bit of zing, should we have a bit of zing in there? I'll put in some lemon juice. And we'll put in a little bit of lime juice. Give it a little bit of ching. Well, that's the plan. And then all we do is mix all this up. And when, with this, it won't quite give you the consistency. So I add a little bit of milk as and when I need it to get the consistency right. Little bit of milk. Probably enough, but it doesn't take much. And there we have pretty much ready to go in the oven. I've got to keep an eye on the time. And one thing I've found with fresh local eggs, and I think people will find wherever you go, the yolks, they're almost orange, bright orange in colour. And when I make pancakes, I'm wearing this cake and it's got that little extra shine to it, that extra depth of colour. Bloody wonderful. And then just get to the bottom of that there, just mix that up. And what we have is a cake ready to go in the tin. Voila. Once we've got the mixture, butter, usual routine, grease it up. And then bail it all out. And then all we do is level it out. And for an extra little pack, put some chia seeds. Over the top. Trying to get the right nutrition, the right stuff in. There. That's done. Almost time to check on the bread, of which then this will go in the oven. Now we're going to make something with this. As you can see, I've got some scales out here, but this is sourdough discard, so I'm putting in about a third of it. Let's see what it weighs. There we go, that's slightly over. That says 221 grams, which according to said recipe is 200 grams. Well, that's close enough. And then what we're going to do, which I've Blue Peter style, something I prepared earlier, is 2 tablespoons of melted butter. And that can go in the sink. Give that a mix together. Just get the two to blend together nicely. Once we're finished with that, we have it nicely blended in. And then we've got to get some cheese, because I'm going to be making snacks. And I'm going to use about half of that. So then all we do is grate that in. And what I do is I just grate in a little bit at a time, give it a mix. A little bit at a time, give it a mix. So there's a little bit there. Mix it in. What we have to be careful of, well, not careful, of course, of mixing it in, we don't want it to get too sticky. It's got to be not quite UK pancake thin, but not around about some ish, just slightly runnier than an American pancake mixture. So we just got to just a little bit in, a little bit out. And it's time to take the roof off the loaf. Look at that. I'm actually impressed with this. This is my third time. It's starting to do it. It's lifting up a little bit. Hopefully it's had enough of the sweating time. Now I'm going to turn it round because it is cooking slightly harder on the other side. Look at that. That's going to go back in the oven, and I'm going to start baking that. That's going in the oven. Making as much use of the oven as I possibly can whilst I've got it on. So take a register at a time. Right, we are almost there. But what I have done is I've got the cheese mixed in. It is still, it's a little bit gloopy. Yeah, a little bit, feel like I can lay bricks with that at the moment. But I'll just get a little bit of, I've got a bottle of, just a little bit of water. We'll see where we go. But we've got to get it into this. Yeah, it's a tough one. A cross between runny, like what we call English pancakes or crepes. They're really sort of the French term of it. Again, I'm not doing specific measurements. Mix that in. The last bit of the cheese, that'll definitely be the only bit of water that I've had to put in there. Last bit of cheese. Don't you love these things? These are brilliant. Best thing on the planet. And now I'm going to use health and safety here because they say grate all the cheese, all this, that and the other. Well, you and I both know that takes out fingers. Treat for the chef. Don't take your fingers out that way. And then what we ended up with is a reasonably fluid batter, like a batter. And then we're going to flavour that up. Here, garlic, again, all the taste. You can put anything you like with these. A little bit of cayenne pepper, not a massive amount, because I'm not, I like pepper. Cayenne can be a tad harsh. And then turmeric, part and parcel of getting turmeric into my system. Good for the breaking down the cholesterol. A little bit of salt, there will be some more, and a little bit of pepper. There won't be any more of that. I mix that lot in. That's going to give it a bit of a punch, just you know, a little bit of tang. I've used just regular mature cheddar. You can use whatever bloody cheese you like to taste. People sit there and say, oh, you know, want a nice strong cheddar and blah blah blah, or strong cheese. I understand that, but hey, that's what I had in the fridge. So that's now done. You can see it's yellow. It's yellowing a little bit with the turmeric in it. That's now done, and then we've got to prep that to go in the oven, because then when the bread comes out, these go in the oven. So you've got the mixture, bacon on a baking tray, onto some baking parchment paper, baking sheets, whatever, brown paper. You know the stuff that I mean. You can see it in front of my eyes. Pull that out. What I'm doing, try my hardest to make the maximum use of the kitchen, of the oven as I'm going. And all I'm doing is just spreading it out over that tray. Got a little bit more space there in the tray. There we go. Nice and even. And there we hopefully have. It needs to be really quite thin in making the crackers. Do with a little bit more in there. Again, there we go. So I see a couple of gaps there. On that, I'm going to be doing 2 loads. These cook quick anyway, so it's not so bad. Give it a bit of bazing. Bit of oregano over the top. Top that off with a little bit more salt. That'll be the first batch ready to go in the oven. Just a quick one. Towards the end, yes, chicken logo on the top. Thank you. Very, very much appreciated. Mission Chicken, it is still there and I am still working on it. Other priorities have taken place, so we've had to slow down on that. But all that money is being put to one side purely for the chickens. And I really do thank you. Hopefully soon on that one. And one thing I've learned on my channel, the algorithms. I had a spout where the algorithms were really favourable towards me and things were going up. And now the algorithms are moving down again. It is what it is. But if you do like my channel, haven't subscribed, would you please consider subscribing, hit the notifications bell, punching that like button, and as you know, definitely the comments. This channel has become to mean an awful lot to me with the interaction I have from you, the viewers. I have some wonderful, wonderful comments, and I can learn from you, which to me is important. Every day is a school day, isn't it? So if you are subscribed, thank you. If you could spread the word, I really would appreciate it. One final check and hopefully it is done. I use a torch to be able to see into the oven because I don't have a light in the oven and I don't have massive illuminations, and it's a bit of a dark day, so I've got some lights on there to hopefully give you a little bit better of a view. But what I'm now going to do is the big reveal. Oh, why do we always do that? I'm going to put in the first run of my cheese crackers, as they don't take long to cook. I'm going to quickly spin my oat cake round. Because I've only got a small cooker and it runs on propane, it doesn't really get hot enough to make some things, but it does get warm. But it sounds good. In actual fact, I'm going to try this one instead of flipping it upside down. Ooh, don't burn yourself, Kevin. There. We have a loaf. Sounds about right. Feels about right. And we have to let it cool. It didn't rise quite the way I would have liked it to rise, but that's with a dark rye flour and a 6 grain white flour, even mixtures. Trying to go for the healthier option, gets bits and pieces of the goodness into me, and because it's made out of sourdough, which is a fermented process, it's got the probiotics. It's good for the gut, good for the gut. I don't know the science behind it. But that's done. That'll cool down, then we'll cut it and have a look. And I'll back to you when we've done the crackers. And on my sort of, you could say once a week baking, once a week, once every 10 days, depends on how much I use the bread, how much I use of the cake, etc, etc. But once a bed, once every 10 days. I have this little marathon episode of cooking to save me hassle in a week. And now I'm just putting about half of that, just rough guessing, into a bowl with about 100 grams ish of plain flour. I'm just mixing the two together, as you can see there. And all I'm going to do, I might put a bit more in there yet, because we need other ingredients, so I might add a bit of that later, because it's moist. Then we're going to get about a tablespoon of olive oil. You can use any oil. I use olive oil because it's better for me. And then what we're going to do is crack a couple of eggs in there. Give that a little bit of a mix up. Again. And what I mean about the farm eggs against shop eggs, I mean, look at that colour. Can you see that? Look, absolutely stunning colour. Mix that up, and I'm going to cheat a little bit. No, I'm not. A little bit more starter. I'm running out of implements now. Use that teaspoon. Tell you what, all of it. Like I'm saying, I'm not trying to be, you know, a Jamie Oliver or anything like this. All I'm doing is slapping. Yes, I've been on YouTube. Yes, I've learnt from my mother. Thank you, Mum. And I get ideas. What I'm trying to achieve is having meals, snacks, but everything I'm doing, there's no preservatives, there's no shop bought stuff, no chemicals. We get some milk. Just add a little bit of milk at a time, because what I'm trying to achieve here is to get a reasonably good batter, because these are going to be pancakes. This is going to be my breakfast for the next 2 or 3 days. And it's if once the batter's made like this, as you can see there, see the consistency? Yeah, that is about right. Yeah. Now that I've done that, put that back in the fridge. That goes in the washing up pile. And then I've got batter, which will go in the fridge. That's breakfast for tomorrow. Anyway, back to, which hopefully should be the reveal, trusty knife. Check with the torch, wherever I put the torch, because I can't see in there. We're pretty close. And I think try and do this one so you can actually see it. We should all know about the knife test. The knife goes in, it comes out, and that is pretty damn clean. That is cooked. And then all I'm going to do is quickly check those are almost done, and I'll put the other ones in because I found another tin. So I've made the other slab. And there we have it. That is me kind of utilising my oven as best I can. So not being that wasteful with the energy. But that I shall let cool down in the tin before I pop it out. And that is another one of those wonderful, to me, oat type cakes. That'll get cooled down. Slice a day with my afternoon tea, along with several lunches, or even boiled eggs on a bit of bread. And as it starts to go off, because obviously the longevity of that is reduced, sometimes just cut a little slice, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt. Oh, it's lovely. No, I grant you, that is not like those lovely shop bought, nice, lovely looking, pleasing to the eye items. But I know what's gone into that. A lot of love, but what's gone into that is good ingredients. No, it doesn't look excessively pretty. It's not a work of art. Nearly cool enough to take a slice. But I know my stomach and my health is going to be better for eating that than any shop bought loaf. I know my stomach, my health will benefit greatly from that as opposed to a shop bought cake with your chemicals and your sugars. And then when the crackers are done, I've got little snacks throughout the day. When I'm done, they go into an airtight container, and I've got a little snack to go to. You get some cheesy crackers, Cheez-Its, things like this. Look at the ingredients. There's chemicals in there. And they're not always, okay, cheese, that's not healthy for me, but you've got to have some little cheats in life. And that's my little cheat. It's homemade. I know what's going into it. No, you don't have to be. Don't be frightened of trying. Don't be frightened of trying. And that one's too, no, it's not. I can just about hold that now. There. Yeah. It works. It feeds me. Do I look like I'm hungry? Anyway, let's just get let's go for it. Not quite ready, I don't think. See that there? Still just slightly soft, which actually is a good time to put a knife through it and just cutting it into little sections so that it's not just going to break into 1,000,001 pieces. It'll break into little squares. As you can see, I do apologise for this being potentially a long video, but what I wanted to show you, and I am not a chef, I'm not a cook, I didn't train in this world. This is me making it up as I go along. This is me learning. I know that's a bit soft, but I'm going to be cheeky. And that can be popped back in the oven. Because we're nearly there with that one. And there we have, it's still a little bit soft. But that, you've seen what I've put in there. And I put in whatever I want, as you can put in whatever you want. If you like the taste of something, put it in. A couple of those little salty snacks throughout the day. On that note, you don't need to see the end of it. You've seen what I'm doing. I've created a week's worth of bread, week to 10 days worth of tea and cake, 3 maybe 4 breakfasts, and a load of snacks. And in real time, it's taken me about an hour and a half. In real time, maybe 2 hours. Yes, I've got a little bit of clearing up to do, but a day when it's miserable outside, and the desire to go out there and do stuff wanes, that's a good time. That's when I get my stocks up, so that when I'm out there working and don't feel that I want to cook, because we all feel that. Oh, I can't be bothered, I can't be asked, I'm tired. Yeah, I mean, we do. It's a human thing. But I've got a reserve stock. And there you go. Just before we go, the big reveal. I'm just going to take the end off, because I'm not going to, like YouTube, cut them in half, show the world. Could do with being a little bit more aerated than it is, but it sure as hell smells like bread. And I'm about to put just a cheat, because it's warm bread. Gotta love it, haven't you? A little bit of butter. And bear in mind, that's only the 3rd time I've tried to make a sourdough loaf. I will perfect it, because I will keep trying. Just because you failed a couple of times, potentially 3 times, 4 times, don't give up, folks. Enjoy the fruits of your labour. See you soon, when I'm a little bit fatter. Take care, folks. Keep smiling. Keep being happy. You know you can.